Awesome. So to go ahead and get started, I'll let you all introduce yourselves. Let's see. I'll start with Devin. You already know him. He's one of our lab leaders here, but the floor is yours.
So I'm just introducing myself, like what I do and stuff.
Yeah, and then we'll
Okay.
jump into questions.
All right, so my name is Devin Cooper. I am the director of debate at Cal State Long Beach. I'm going into I'm finishing, I think, my 4th year there. So one thing about applying for our school, pretty much you have to let me know so I can get you on a special list that gives you local priority, because Cal State Long Beach is a pretty impacted school, and it's one of the top CSUs, and everybody wants to get in there because it's a fun place, but also it's just like a bunch of different other elements that they try to prioritize people that are in the Long Beach area. So just let me know if you apply. You need to know, let me know ASAP as soon as that happens. But yeah.
Awesome. Next up, we've got Stephanie Eisenberg from Chabot College.
Hey, it's Chabot, by the way.
Chabot. I'm right next to it. Please say it right.
I'm sorry.
We Hayward peoples don't like it when they don't say it right.
Hey, everybody. I'm Stephanie Ivzenberg, Todd. I am the director of forensics, so both the speech and debate program at Chabot College. We are a 2-year college up in Hayward, so I work with Bottle. And I used to be the assistant director of forensics down at Cal State Fullerton. So I have experience both at a 2-year and at a 4-year, and I am happy to answer any questions that you'd like. One thing I quickly want to say before we get on to everybody else is just don't be afraid to consider the 2-year option. Our goal is to get you all to a 4-year, but sometimes the path to that 4-year is a 2-year, and not only is there no shame in that, but sometimes there's a lot of extra benefits, and so I'm happy to talk about that. Whatever path gets you to your goal is the right path for you.
Awesome. And we also have Coach Robert Campbell from UCSD. How's it going?
Hi, it's going real good. Just a quick shout out before I get started to Dev at Cal State Long Beach. We've come to his tournament our last 2 years, and it's one of the best run tournaments on the West Coast on a beautiful campus. So what a great job you do there, Dev. And that didn't come from the fact that we win a lot at Cal State Long Beach. I didn't say that just because of that, but no, we always have fun on your campus. So thank you for running a great tournament. Do you have the slides? Do you have the, bless your heart, do you have the slides?
Yeah, I can go ahead and throw that up if you wanted to do that.
Go ahead and bring up those 3 slides, and that's just for everybody, because the main thing of my introduction is so that you can learn more about UCSD speech and debate. We are a very young program. This fall will begin our 3rd year of reinitiation, but we have had tremendous, not surprising, but tremendous success. We started with about 15 team members in 2018. The team now is above 40, and we're looking to add to that. We get a lot of transfer students from the community colleges, and we welcome everybody to our program. I guess the main thing is to make certain you have the contact information if you have more questions. You can always email me, and there's my email address right under my name right there. I'm Coach Campbell, the head coach of Speech and Debate. Speech and Debate at UCSD is sponsored by the business school. So we are actually located along with our beautiful giant trophy case, is located at the Rady School of Management on the campus of UCSD in La Jolla, California. Hope some of you are headed our way in the future. If you have any questions about the program, you can email me there at rhcampbell@ucsd.edu. Why don't you go to the next slide? And we're off to that slide. You can also contact one of the team members we have a full executive board since we are a student-run organization, and JT Melton, who some of you might know because he's a fairly well-known debater around the state of California. But you can email jmelton@ucsd.edu. He's our recruitment chair. He'll be glad to answer all of your questions about our programs. And then the 3rd slide, the final slide, please. And this is sources. If you go out to our webpage or these sources, you'll learn a lot about UCSD speech and debate. These are content-rich sources. There's our Facebook page right there. If you take a moment to write that down, you can learn a lot about our program by just going out on YouTube and typing in speech and debate at UCSD. We put on a 1-hour webinar about our programs and how we're organized. It is really content rich. You can actually join our email list by going out to the website, ucsdspeechanddebate.org/contact. We will then notify you of team meetings and plans. You can be on the email list and then watch that webinar at that link right there. I think that's where you go to on the second bullet point there, but you could write that down real quickly too. We offer
and we'll be sure to share that.
Say again?
We'll be sure to share the presentation so they can have
Oh, bless your heart. Thank you. That's appreciated. As I teach business classes at UCSD, I always start my classes by telling my students, the only bad question is the one you choose not to ask. So if any of you on this call today have any questions about UCSD speech and debate, please get in touch with us. Like I said, feel free to email me, the head coach, or any of these sources. Ask your questions, find out the details you need to know. We have a fairly comprehensive program of all different speech individual event formats for speech and all different formats for debate. I think I do have a team entered tomorrow. If you guys were talking about the APDA tournament tomorrow is on the weekend. That's what you were talking about. I've got one team entered there. If you meet them, say hi for me, and they'll freak out wondering, how'd you know me? But anyway, point being, enjoy that tournament tomorrow. But ask your questions, find out about our program. For the upcoming fall, I'll just close by saying, I have told the team leaders that we are planning for the best and contingency planning for the worst. So we're on a quarter system at UCSD, and we are planning as if COVID-19 is all over and done, and all of California's directives to hide in caves have been evaporated, and we can go back living our life and having a debate program. So we are planning to going to tournaments and funding and all that kind of stuff. On the other hand, we are realists, so we are contingency planning for the worst. We have already attended 3 cyberspace tournaments and developed a full curriculum on how to compete in cyberspace. And if everything turns out to be total Zoom and 8x8 and cyberspace in the fall, or even through the entire season next year, we are up and ready to go. We will be ready to go. Bottom line is there are no fees to join UCSD Speech and Debate. There are no requirements. You can come to us with no experience whatsoever. All we request is attitude. If you've got a winning attitude and we want to learn how to compete, we'll teach you. If you're a novice or haven't had any experience, we will make you good. And if you're good at speech and debate, we'll make you great. Why can I make that assertion? Because this old fart that's talking to you this morning was part of the national championship program at the University of Kansas just merely a half a century ago. I was the winningest debater in Kansas history for 7 years after I graduated, a record that only fell because my mentor, Doc Parson, which some of you may know from debate history on the collegiate level, expanded the number of tournaments KU went to, and my record fell. But the point being is I love teaching. I have loved starting this UCSD speech and debate program 2 years ago, and you are all welcome to our program and welcome to contact me or any of the contact sources you find that I presented today to learn more about our program. Thank you for allowing me that introduction. I appreciate that. Any initial questions?
Thank you, folks. And then we also have alumni who are either current debaters at their school or former debaters currently in college. So if you're an alumni currently in college, go ahead and introduce yourselves. Who are you? How about you start off?
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Bao. I'm a rising sophomore, and I'm on the policy debate team at Harvard. I'm a Lambda alumni, and if you have any questions about what it looks like to debate at Harvard, feel free to ask.
Who else we got? Mesa, you're there. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Jonathan Mesa. I'm a alumni from Lambda as well. I debated for Stern Mass. I'm currently going to Fullerton College, and I'm also debating there. And again, any questions, reach out. It's a pretty cool program. It's pretty cool people there.
Cool. Who else we got? Sorry, I can't see everyone's name, so sorry if I skip over you. Oh, Harut, there you go. Want to introduce yourself for the folks that aren't in your lab?
Oh, hi, hello. My name is Harut Kajijian. I'm also a Lambda alum. I debated for Bravo Medical Magnet. I kind of just have finished up going through the 2-year process. I was also at Fullerton College, and now I'm debating at Cal State Fullerton. So.
Cool. Anyone else before I jump into our questions? Students, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and I'll sort of ask them just to make sure we keep some order.
I could monitor the chat and then give them to you, Joseph.
Yeah, that's all good. That sounds great. Cool. So to start us off, I know we had some questions that folks had asked before. The first one was, what types of debate do your schools offer? So Devin, what do you do at Long Beach? And then we can hand it off.
So at Cal State Long Beach, we do parley, policy, and a little bit of IPDA. But if there's other formats that people want to do, if there's enough interest, we'll allow that to happen. But you have to be really serious about it, because that's time and resources and coaching that have to go into it. And our team is constantly growing. We also have speech as well. So we're pretty much known as a full service team, include mostly all of the events that pretty much exist. Oh, sorry, we also have British Parliamentary as well. I keep forgetting about that, but yes, we have that. So that means we have British Parley, policy, parley, and a little bit of IPDA sometimes, and pretty much just about everything. But yeah.
How about y'all in Eshbo?
So we do, on the debate side, parley, and we also do Lincoln Douglas, which is not the same as high school Lincoln Douglas. Lincoln Douglas on the college circuit is called NFALD, and it's a lot closer to one-on-one policy debate. So there's evidence and spreading and things like that. And then a little bit of IPDA. I don't really feature it in the program, but if it's offered at a tournament and my students want to do it, I let them do it. And then we also offer a full spectrum of speech events as well. So basically we offer everything except for policy debate. And that's largely because there's not a lot of policy debate in Northern California right now. And then we don't do British parliamentary debate either, but we do everything else.
Awesome. Coach Campbell, what do y'all got in San Diego?
Yeah, we do it a little bit differently here on our portion of the left coast. We actually build our program around the competitors that show up on the team, and we ask the team, what do you want to do? We explain all of the formats, and then we form teams and let kids compete the way they want to. So we've done it all. We have IPDA and NPDA, Parley, Lincoln Douglas. We had a couple of foreign students this year that said, hey, have you ever heard of British Parliamentary? And we said, no. And so they taught it to us, and we said, that's cool. So we went off and won a couple of tournaments that way. So the point being is we build our program around our students. And so whatever you're interested in, all you got to do is email me or tell the debate board, hey, I do this kind of debate. Can I do it at UCSD? And the answer is usually, yep, sure can.
Awesome. And the next question we had, generally when we talk about debate in college, they know that college programs exist, but the sort of process to go from high school to college and find that team sometimes is unclear for them. So the next question is, when's an appropriate time to sort of start thinking about what team they want to be a part of, and when should they start reaching out, right? Should they wait till their senior year and they start applying? Should they make themselves aware as their competitors so you get to know them a little earlier, right? Is there an appropriate time for those kinds of things?
I think for me, I remember when I was in high school, I started reaching out as a junior. However, this was a different time. And what I will say is that I barely didn't get any response, probably because I was from a UDL, and that sucks because I was not a TOC debater in high school. But I will say for me, when it comes to reaching out to Cal State Long Beach, we take anybody as they are and don't really care about the level if you got to TOC or not, could care less because I feel like I can coach you to wherever you need to be or wherever you have the desire to be based on your work ethic. So I definitely would say in your sophomore year, you should start thinking about options. But in your junior year, you definitely should start reaching out to people. If you wait till your senior year, that's too late because a lot of deadlines for schools will pass. And a lot of people that are working in these programs don't have the administrative pull to get you into a school or to get you priority status off the wait list if you haven't let them know earlier. So for me, definitely when it comes to you applying to Cal State Long Beach, you have to get your application in early so you can get your ID number so that I can track it and put it on the priority list to get local preference. So I would definitely say that, you know, the earlier time that you get to think about your options, the better. But you should probably also want to talk to people that are on the team to figure out what some of the team culture is, because I can tell you like a lot of good stuff all day long, but like the people who actually know what it's like to be on the team are the people that are on it right now. So that's how I feel.
So you asked a couple questions there that I want to address. One is like when, but the other is how do you make your choice? As far as when, again, I think it really depends on what school you're interested in, what your goal is. Are you trying to get a scholarship? Are you trying to get special priority registration? Or are you just trying to try out debate? And none of those are the wrong or the right answer. I personally never debated in high school, and I didn't even debate at community college. So I didn't find debate until I transferred from Valley College to San Francisco State. And I just showed up on the first day because I had taken a comm class that I really liked and thought this would be cool. And then I ended up getting to, you know, compete at the NDT. So there's no like right or wrong way to get into debate. That being said, if you know what your goals are, the earlier, the better. You know, reach out to people. A lot of us want you to succeed. We want to help you, but we just need your help to do that. As far as obviously a community college is concerned, you know, you don't need to go out of your way to contact people ahead of time. But if you do, we can get you set up with ways to start maybe getting used to a format of debate you're not used to, or get you integrated into the team culture. So even if it's not about getting into the program, just getting to know the people that you're going to hang out with is a really good idea. The question I really want to address is how do you decide? And I have a lot of my community college students asking me this as they're getting ready to transfer, you know, like, how do I decide what program I want to be in? Should I look at what their debaters are doing? Should I be looking at what events they're offering? My biggest suggestion to you is, first and foremost, you should consider what your educational goals are. Debate is amazing. It's going to get you a lot of opportunities if you apply yourself. But eventually one day you will stop debating. But you will be left with your educational career and your degree. And so, you know, I showed up at a school that I thought I wanted to go to as a grad student because I was really into their program, their debate program. And then I showed up to the school and I realized that like none of their specialties within comm were the ones that I was interested in. And so I ended up going to a different school because of that. And I'm really glad I made that decision because now I get to pursue the areas of comm that were really interesting to me. So look at the programs. Definitely, if debate is something you're interested in, focus on the schools that have those programs, but then also consider what are your educational goals? What's your major? What's that department like? And it's just as important to kind of reach out to the professors in your department field as it is to reach out to the debate program, because that's how you're going to find the best fit for you. And that way you'll be really happy with both your debate career and your college career.
Stephanie was going to be with me. I was so sad about that.
The people in the program were lovely, but yeah, it just didn't match up with my educational goal. The other cool thing about debate is that it's a regional and national thing. So even though I didn't get to go to school with Devin, which would have been dope, Devin and I still got to hang out all the time at tournaments and see each other. and coach our students. And so, you know, remember, debate is a community that you get to be a part of regardless of where you go to school.
I guess from my perspective here at UCSD, there's never a wrong time to inquire, but our program is pretty simple. Once you're a registered or enrolled student at UCSD, you are eligible for UCSD speech and debate. So the horse before the cart, as Stephanie put it, is you've got to set your educational goals first and decide what universities you might want to attend scholastically, and then you can evaluate the speech and debate program. That being said, I will only respectfully disagree with Stephanie on one dimension when she said eventually you're going to stop debating. From my life perspective, no, that's not true, because you see, I used the power of the skills that I learned in speech and debate to drive a 45-year business career. You are listening to a journalism major from the University of Kansas that had an undergraduate degree appropriately titled as a BS in advertising. And then I went on to a business school to get an MBA from Northwestern in market research. But then I ended up in 45 years of 25 years of commercial banking and six additional industries in my last 20 years as a chief operating officer and chief financial officer. By the way, I took one accounting class at Northwestern, but I was a chief financial officer in 7 different industries. How do you explain a journalism major becoming executive management in 7 different business industries? Simple answer: speech and debate. I was able to convince people that I was the right candidate for that job at that point in time. So, point being is, we teach life skills at UCSD Speech and Debate. You can come to us with no experience whatsoever, just like Dev's great program at Cal State Long Beach. You can come with no skills whatsoever. If you've got the attitude that you want to find out how to be persuasive and powerful in your career, we'll teach you that. And we have a rigorous set of student coaches that coach each activity that we participate in. And you get to choose. You can immerse yourself in the program and get rigorous coaching, and we can take you from novice to champion in a single season, or you can pick and choose. But indeed, do your school homework first about what school you want to come to. And we can also, by talking to our team, you can find out more about what UCSD has to offer. But if UCSD is on your radar and you're planning on getting accepted, we would be very honored to have you come learn more about UCSD Speech and Debate at any time. What I'm looking for is kids that see the value of speech and debate and want to do it for 4 years. I think that's if you're a transfer, obviously, 2 years. I think that's the hardest thing on our quarter system and the challenge of our curriculum. But kids do it, and I do have some kids on the team that are planning on being on the team for 12 quarters. That's our program.
Awesome. So our next question is more so about the team cultures and the work-life balance. And I want to start this one from like current debaters' perspective. So any alumni, feel free to chime in. At the school that you're currently at, how do you balance school and debate time and expectations of your team and partner, right? And trying to be competitively successful, but also successful in school? Or what's something you wish you told yourself when you were in high school about that culture or expectations? I'm calling you, Bao. Go ahead and start us off and tell us a little bit about how's it going over there on the East Coast.
Yeah, sure. So at Harvard, it might not be like, it might seem like a grandiose place, but in reality, there are a lot of benefits to Harvard, and there are also a lot of like cons to Harvard. And in my personal opinion, I don't think it is the most like nurturing place for UDL debaters, in the sense that like most of the debaters that end up on the team are like people who cleared the TOC, or like we're in the finals of the TOC, won bid tournaments, like we're from big private debate schools like in the national circuit. And so a lot of the debaters coming into the Harvard debate team are very experienced and have a lot of knowledge about debate. And so I think that like part of it is just like overcoming this imposter syndrome, in terms of like feeling like you belong, or that that you're at a big school like Harvard and not feeling like you got in as a fluke. And I think that part of like adapting to this lifestyle and part of like what it means to be at Harvard is just sort of adapting to this sort of culture shock in a way, and also seeing that like you're at Harvard, you don't need to be on the debate team if you don't want to. You're committed as you want it to be, and like you're not tied to the team in any way, and that there are like plenty of other opportunities that Harvard can offer you. But even if you do want to pursue debate at Harvard, I think there are plenty of opportunities in the sense that like in recent years there has been an influx of UDL debaters, so the team has tried to reorient itself into adjust to like helping them overcome this learning curve that you need to adapt to college debate. And also the Harvard debate team, like if you want to go to any tournament throughout the year, we will like the Harvard debate team will send you and send a coach. You will always have a coach before like every round, and that this activity is as much work as you put into it, but definitely academics is something to adjust to. And so like if I were to tell myself advice like in the past, I would say to like wait maybe like until you're adjusted to school first, then like jump into debate, versus like do debate first and then like get overwhelmed by debate, and then school's overwhelming and it just kind of like tumbles. And so it's like adjust to one thing at first and then something like proceed to the next.
Awesome. Yeah, that definitely lines up a lot with what Stephanie was saying earlier. How about any of our Fullerton folks? Y'all have opinions? Or how is it over there?
I could go. Yeah, I agree with Val. I think school should like come first. I remember my first semester, I wanted to go to every single tournament that was offered, and I did, but that really it was really hard on me to balance my academics and going to all the tournaments. So I think that like we should there should be more focus on school and then debate. The team in Fulton College is really like family oriented, so like our coaches Joel and Jeanette are always like there to look out for me. Like if I'm like doing bad in my school, they're like, hey, stop like working on debate, get on what you need to get on. And it's always a form of like for me, they're like my second set of parents. They're really good in like helping me out and everything I need to get done. And I feel like that is what the team culture really is really like family oriented. Also like other students in the team, some of us like share the same classes. So like, hey, I missed these notes, can you like share them? And it's really like we really just try to help everyone out. So I feel like we should focus on school more and then debate, but there's always people there to help you out with either.
Cool. And then
I have one of
I was going to pass it off to you. Go ahead.
I have one of my students to talk about it. So let's
awesome.
There you go.
Hi everyone, how's it going? Hi, my name is Noah. I debate for Cal State Long Beach, and debate in school is very hard sometimes. School always comes first, right? Because that's going to determine, you know, a lot of your future. Debate will too. So the best thing that I can recommend is time management, right? I surprisingly, and this is the first time really, I got a 4.0 my whole year of college while also being fairly successful with debate, which I was surprised about. But that was because rather than procrastinating like I did in high school, I would do my essays, you know, a couple weeks in advance, and then I would be able to review those essays and work on them, right? So not only that, debate is not only great to help you, you know, just like in your future in general, but it also helps you with school, right? And all of your schoolwork. When you are writing your blocks and writing your cases and extensions to cards or whatever, you learn how to be, you know, do well with word economy. You learn how to write things and really explain things very well. So I think that is sort of the gist of what I wanted to say about how to manage, you know, school and work in debate, right? School always comes first. You should try as hard as you can in debate, you know, because debate's a fun activity. And yeah, that's what I'll say. Is that cool?
Yes, thank
Anything
you.
else? Okay, thanks.
Goodbye.
And then Stephanie or Coach Campbell, if y'all had anything to add on the
Yeah.
work-life balance on your campuses?
I think the
Or
students
work
did
debate?
a really great job of talking about it. And honestly, the best way to deal with it or to manage it is also to have good support networks, right, of other students who have done it, even if they don't go to your own school. And that's the beautiful thing about the internet. And even though this is kind of tragic that we're not being able to see each other in person, one of the cool things is our network has gone global, right? So we can reach out to people all across the country and even the world to kind of network about strategies for this. I would definitely say, just kind of, piggybacking off of that stuff I was talking about earlier, is just really keeping all of your goals in mind, right? Your debate goals, your educational goals, your own personal health and happiness goals. Like, don't forget that before you found debate, you were a person with interests. And it's really important to foster and nurture those, maybe a little bit less than before. It's also important to know that you're going to get out of debate what you put into it. And so a lot of us interpret that as, well, I need to do as much debate work as possible so that I'm as successful as possible. And now I'm not saying that you don't need to do work, because you do, but also think about what type of person you want to be in debate, right? So like emotionally, physically, like as far as your health is concerned, like what kind of teammate you want to be, what kind of opponent you want to be. And all of those are also going to help, I think, with that balance, because then you'll feel more integrated. I remember one of the struggles I had when I started was feeling like there was like debate Stephanie and then like these other Stephanies. And when I was able to integrate those, and part of that for me was like learning how to talk about things that were important to me in my life in debate, that were important outside of debate, and finding ways to find that praxis and that mixing of what I was interested in politically or personally and what we were talking about in debate. I think that helps as well. And then, yeah, drink lots of water. Like, I know that sounds so silly, but I really forgot and neglected some of my own just kind of physical well-being. And it's so crazy how something as simple as making sure you have like granola bars with you when you go to tournaments, making sure that you're taking regular breaks to not look at a computer screen, right? Like go out, and especially with online tournaments now, right? Like in between rounds, don't just cut cards, like go outside, look at a tree, do something to help with that, because you don't get that opportunity to walk from room to room like you would at a regular tournament. So yeah, just like thinking about all of those different parts of yourself and all of the benefits of debate beyond just the wins and the losses, I think can really help with that.
Well, I can follow up, Stephanie, and share that at UCSD, like I said, we started 2 years ago, went to 9 tournaments. This last year, we went to 15 tournaments. Students that are on the team get to choose what tournaments they go to. That's flexible. This old coach goes along with the team to every tournament. And since we have, from a budget standpoint, we've been in our first 2 years limited to automobile travel in Southern California. We will change that as soon as we're allowed to travel again. We'll be able to travel nationally. But my SUV always has a full supply of ice water and cereal bars for the team that I provide, even though I encourage the kids to bring things along. But Stephanie's right. Drinking water is absolutely critical to surviving college. I think the best thing that anybody can do is talk to members of the team. As I said, we have about 40 members right now returning next year. We are basically a family. We look out for each other. We care about everybody on the team, and we take all experiences and all attitudes. So as you develop your course curriculum at the university you choose, if you come to us and say, I just want to learn how to do it, that's good enough for us. We'll teach you how to do it, whether it's speech or whether it's debate. Some kids come to me and say, I want to be a national champion. Okay, we'll put you on the track and we'll put you on the program to be a national champion. I have a little different perspective personally because of my experience of 4 years of college debate at the University of Kansas in their program than my students do. Now, of course, this is back in the day, but I traveled 24,000 miles for KU in 4 years. Every 10 days, I was on the road to go to a tournament. Every other weekend, I was on the road representing KU. And personally, my attitude is I loved it. Now, don't let me mislead you, because even though I told you that I was a journalism major at KU, it wasn't particularly an easy academic path, and I ended up being valedictorian at the university. I did that along with 24,000 miles of travel and every other 10 days on the road going to a debate tournament. I personally loved it because getting to a debate tournament restored my mental health from being on campus and being in classes. So I was able to use speech and debate to really round my college experience. I always wanted to represent a major university. And even though I could put up a fairly decent argument, I wasn't good enough to be on the Kansas basketball team. So if I couldn't represent KU in basketball, I was going to do it in debate. And I, as I said, had great success there. UCSD is a challenging university. It's one of California's best universities, and it has a challenging curriculum. But you'll find some of the top students at the university on my debate team. And the person that said time management is a critical, I think that was Noah, and I've had the distinct privilege of judging Noah from Cal State Long Beach. He's a spectacular competitor. But when he said time management, boy, he nailed it. That is college. That's one of the biggest skills you learn. But once you get a hold of time management and balance your academic effort with your extracurricular activities, whether it be just debate, or most kids do more than just the debate team at UCSD. Once you understand that balance, you have learned an incredible life skill that will serve your entire life. Point being is, yes, UCSD is challenging academically. Can you go, if I use my Midwestern term, can you go whole hog on debate at UCSD? Damn right you can, because you'll be supported by the team and your head coach, both academically and on the tournaments we go to.
So then, to sort of follow up with this team culture stuff, I also wanted to sort of talk about the other side of this, where everyone here is UDL students, and we're used to this sort of league and team culture where we're all very supportive of each other. But does that change when you go to college? And if it does, how do y'all deal with that? Or what's your experience transitioning into college like? Was there any sort of like culture shock that students should be aware of?
Hey, let me start that one because I hated my high school debate coach. I mean, it was really a love-hate relationship. I did 3 years of debate in high school. I'm sure he was a very nice man. The rumors that he ate his children are probably false, but I really hated the guy. And I love speech and debate. So I didn't know, I went to KU. I wasn't planning on becoming a debater. But fortunately, one of my friends on campus, the week I got there, said, hey, listen, you did high school debate. You got to go over and meet Don Parson, who is a legend in intercollegiate debate. He wasn't then, back in 1964, when I was a freshman at KU. Doc Parson had just started as KU's head debate coach. But a friend of mine said, you just got to go meet him and listen to him. And I went to one class, a speech and debate, and I was hooked. And of course, did it for 4 years. So our culture here at UCSD is what I experienced at KU. We built a program where our team is, yes, we're a competitive intercollegiate team, but we're a family of kids, and we look out for each other, and we care about everybody, and we travel together. And our number one motto that you'll hear from me on tournament prep night as I wrap up my reminder notes is our number one goal when we travel: have fun. As long as you're having fun, the frosting on the cake of winning, it's coming your way. But our team attitude, our culture here at UCSD is have fun. It's a great skill and a lot of fun to do.
Cool. Anyone else have any thoughts on?
I can say for me that a rude awakening. Like I was in a UDL when I was in high school as well. In Baltimore, but I did not really have the privilege to have a coach too much at all. I had a teacher, kind of similar to what y'all might have, who may not know debate as much, but they'll be there to help with like getting you a room after school, things of that nature. But so I didn't really have a coach. So I had to do a lot of this stuff by myself. And then when I went to college and I realized that, I had a coach, I didn't really know what it meant to have a coach. And so then it was like became a very humbling experience. But I know when I ultimately transferred to my second school, which I attended at Towson, what I did realize is that a lot of the team were some people from the Baltimore UDL, but there are also people from like Southeastern Europe, and then there's also people from just like other places around the nation. And you know, when you're on your team, you want to try to foster good relationships with them. There's going to be tension in some form or fashion, but you have to be able to squash that in the long run, because you just don't want to have a bad like relationship with people that are probably going to be in your life for a long time, and even people that might become very, very important one day that could get you into certain places, which I will say has been very beneficial for me. But the thing is that college debate tournaments are not going to look like your UDL tournaments at all. They're not. So, you know, you can be shocked by that eventually, but I'm just telling you right now, when I went to my first college tournament, it was at KCC, which is in Kansas, is it? Missouri. It's Missouri. Okay.
Yeah, Missouri.
Yeah, it's in Missouri. So I went there and I was like, oh, wow, there's not many folks that look like me here. Then my next tournament was at University of Alabama. Even more people did not look like me there. And I was just like, oh, this is looking like a trend here. And then there was GSU, which is the tournament, which is one of the biggest tournaments. It still kind of is one of the biggest tournaments on the college circuit. And I was like, okay, so there's like over 250 competitors and there's 7 Black people here. Okay, cool. So it became a trend. But what I will say is that college debate has more folks of color now, but still nowhere near where it should be, representing the America's population. Doesn't yet, but hopefully it does. This is why y'all need to get into college debate so you can try to change that. But what I will say is that you will learn lessons from this experience that all people may not necessarily be there for you, but there are a lot of people who will be. Because I mean, I've known Stephanie since like I was debating in college, and that was a long time ago. I mean, like 2008, 9-ish. So that's what I'm saying, is that like you'll meet people that you'll know for a lifetime, and they'll help you, and even y'all go into similar career paths. They'll do stuff for you, you know. Yeah, because I was in college. I was in, what is it, 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007. Yeah, and I graduated 2008, 2009 season. So yeah, it was a while ago. But so yeah, but I'm just saying, like, you need to get the most out of this experience as possible. And don't, like, I know some people are like, oh, we need to hurry up and get out of college, but it's just like, look at the world around you. Like, you're not in any really big rush to go out there too soon. So if you have to take 4 or 5 years in college, you know, have at it, as long as you can afford it, and you go to a program that can maybe help you with that. That would be fine. But if you really have to get out, cool. But I would say being in debate and having those years is very enjoyable. It's probably the only time in your life you'll be able to make small mistakes and not really have consequences for them. But once you leave college, can't make too many mistakes, because you're an adult and people are not going to look too fondly on you and be like, oh, they're just a college kid. Nope, you're not a college kid anymore. You're an adult. So I definitely look back on my years in college and wish that I had done more. But like I would say, you probably should live it to the fullest as you can right now when you are back in person, hopefully, with your colleges, because this has fundamentally changed a lot of debate. And I can't wait to see what next season is like, to have to coach and judge at online debate tournaments, which will be interesting. So yeah, so I would say just like live this experience to the fullest and get as many, oh, thank you. And then you have like people in your life that bring you stuff like this. Awesome. But so I would say, be good to people on your debate teams, because in life, when they become like a CEO and you're just like, hey, like, can you donate to the team, or can you help us with something? They will peel it off. So just got to make sure you make those good relationships. But that's all I have to say.
The question was about like adapting to a new team culture, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think, you know, like debate is really special, but it's not isolated from anything else you do. So if you've ever had an experience where you've had to move from, you know, one group of people to another in a similar area, so like maybe moving to a new class at your school, or you played sports in junior high and then you move onto your high school team and it has a different culture, you know, it's no different than that, with the exception that of any activity I've ever done, debate has, for me at least, one of the most supportive and tight-knit communities. And so, you know, what I would say is definitely like what Devin was saying, you know, like reach out, make friends, you know, cherish this time you have in debate, but also remember that your team are not the only people that you'll interact with. And so the thing I love about the UDL is this kind of league culture. And I know it can feel really isolating when we get to our college campuses, but remember that you're still part of a league, right? Like whatever format of debate you're doing, you're going to have people that you come into contact with at tournaments, and you can make, and I encourage you to make friends outside of your own team as well. And so, for example, like when I met Devin, we weren't on the same team, but like that was someone who I cherished their friendship and would reach out to. And yeah, we were going to compete against each other, but I would still hit him up and be like, I'm working on this argument. Do you have any people I could be reading or any suggestions to make?
Two different coasts.
We were on opposite ends of the country. And so remember that even though we are competing against each other and we do want to win, we're also here to like support each other and lift each other up. And you would be surprised if you reach out how many people want to help you. And not just other students, also other coaches. I had coaches from other schools that I would reach out to for advice, both like life advice and debate advice. As a coach now, my team didn't make it to nationals a couple of years ago, and there was a student on another team who had asked for my help, and so I helped her write an argument about gender. And you know, like we want to see each other succeed. It can be hard to remember that when we're especially in the middle of a really competitive season, but don't forget that why we're all here is to learn and to grow. And the thing that you will come out of, like, I almost never look at the trophies I won during debate anymore. I still have them somewhere, but I never look at them. But I do still talk to almost all the friends that I made. And, you know, before COVID, I could go to any town in the country and probably have a couch that I could sleep on because of the friends that I made. And so invest your time in people and in relationships, because that more than anything will help you emotionally. It can help you get jobs. I mean, like I now sit on the board of directors for Bottle, which if you had asked me if I would ever sit on the board of directors for an organization, I would have been like, that's ridiculous. But it's because of the relationships I made and the fact that I'm really invested in giving back to debate because it gave me so much. So I think like the narrative of all of my advice today has kind of been like, look at your debate experience really holistically, and you can get whatever you want out of it if you set intentions for those things. If you just kind of go into debate and say like, well, it's going to give me something, you're not going to get as much out of it as if you go into it with goals and hopes. And you might not achieve all those goals, but you're going to get stuff out of trying to achieve them.
Cool. Thank you. And any of the current debater folks in college want to have any comments on that front? How's your team experience and getting to know folks on the circuit?
Oh, can you repeat that last part?
Oh. How's your social experience been, sort of getting to know people on the circuit outside of the league?
Yeah. So I love my team. I think that the people I've met on the team are like fantastic people and like become one of my closest friends. And one experience that particularly helped with that is our preseason, which is like by far one of the best experiences I've had, in the sense that like you're in one of the upperclassmen dorms or houses, and you like live in a single for 2 weeks, and every meal is basically provided for you by the team, and you essentially try out all the restaurants in like the Harvard Square and around the area. And but like in exchange for this, you're like constantly producing evidence, and because the bulk of our evidence production happens during preseason, but like in the evenings we play board games, we like do social events, and occasionally we also go on like social outings. Like I remember going kayaking on the Charles River. That was a lot of fun. So a lot of like the networking community that you get from like college debate is very key. And like a good support network, especially if you don't know anyone like going into the college and might feel a little isolating. So the debate team is definitely a place for you to do the networking. But besides like college debate, I think that college generally is like very hard to adapt to, and just like a new playing field from high school. I remember like in high school, a lot of it was just like completing assignments, getting A's, and just like sort of like breezing by. And in college, you actually need to like apply your critical thinking skills and like study, like actually go to the library and like spend hours and hours like reading and doing assignments and rewriting essays and editing essays and having other people give feedback. And like there's just so much more like work required in college and adapting to it, and like knowing that all your peers are like I guess like in my case like Harvard students, and what it required for them to get into school, and not feeling like everything is so overwhelming. That would like took some time to adjust to, but knowing that like you belong at the institution, you got accepted for a reason, and that like you just need to sort of believe in yourself and like overcome sort of like the initial like culture shock that you might experience. But overall, college can be a lot of fun, and you should not feel like it's so overwhelming. Like there are definitely times it can be overwhelming, but there are definitely times that it can be like a lot of fun and like very rewarding.
If I can add something about our program here at UCSD, we are truly an international university. So we probably have 12 to 15 countries represented on our debate team. And I have a number of competitors where English is a second language, and they're on the team. So if you are looking for a truly international experience, you would want to put UCSD on your radar. But I think one thing we ought to all be aware of is that getting socially involved in university this fall could be uniquely challenging, because most of us, even though I'm one of the people that have been asked to teach on campus at UCSD, we will have a blended approach of on-campus classes and cyberspace. We're going to be doing a lot of things in cyberspace this fall, and it could go into winter and even spring quarters. So it will be, my team is aware that it will be uniquely challenging to form team come this fall. And so we're already working on what in the world can we do in cyberspace to bring people together and make certain everybody on the team feels like they're part of a family. That is not an easy question to answer, but I just want you all to know that we're working on finding out what the answer is.
Awesome. Thank you all very much for sharing. We're getting close to about a full hour here, but I wanted to sort of close out with, let me see which one of these. There's a lot of questions, but let me start with this one. Are there debate scholarships at your campuses, and how would students apply for those? And alternatively, what other types of support can the team get in terms of, so for example, we know that debaters have to miss school. Like, are you able to talk to professors or that kind of stuff?
Yeah, may I please start that one, because I do have to run.
Yep.
Bless your heart. And I will in advance say goodbye to all of you, and I strongly encourage all of you to, that if you're remotely interested in UCSD, reach out to us and learn more about the program. We'll also try to help you find out more about the university if you need that too. But indeed, at UCSD, as I said, the program was reignited when they found me to be head coach in 2018. So we're a very young program. We do not offer scholarships, but I will say yet, it is coming. Last year I was able, even though there is no class credit for speech and debate, UCSD has a system called co-curricular credit, which once you've earned your hours on an extracurricular activity, and if the extracurricular activity qualifies for it, it means that you get a citation on your academic transcript that you were part of the UCSD speech and debate team. And so being a member of the team at UCSD does grant you co-curricular credit on your transcript. So we don't have course credit. We don't have scholarships yet. I've never been asked by an applicant for help to get into the university, but I am marginally influential around this place. So I certainly would not, I certainly would try to help if anybody wrote to me and said, hey, I want to be on the debate team, but first I've got to get into UCSD. I would certainly figure out how to help if I could in any way to do that. There will be scholarships down the road, hopefully in my lifetime, but definitely in yours. And I've got to run. So thank everybody for listening to about the UCSD program. I'm very honored to be part of this. And thank you so much for inviting me here.
Quick question before you go.
Yeah.
What if I want to get in for a PhD? Could you get me in?
Dev?
I will work with the team. I would do that.
Well, I would be so blessed if you ended up at UCSD to have you as a coach with us. That would be fantastic. My direct answer to you is beats hell out of me. I've never tried to get somebody into the PhD program, but I tell you what, you've got my email address. If we start a dialogue, if you write to me and tell me what you're thinking about, I will shake the trees, so to speak, and try to figure out how to help. That's the least I can do for one of the greatest debate programs in the left coast. That's the least I can do for you. So just reach out and tell me. Let me try to help you.
So
Okay.
I also have to run really soon, so I'm going to answer this next.
Okay. Bye, all.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bless your heart.
So I work at a 2-year. So the obvious answer is we don't have scholarships at our 2-year. But, you know, obviously the cost at a 2-year is much lower. That being said, something that I make it a point to do, and I do this a lot with bottle students up here. So I've had a number of bottle students come through my program at Chabot. Is like I said, obviously my first goal for you is to get into the school you want right out of high school. And if that's a 4-year, awesome. But if you don't, or you're not ready, or you can't get the scholarships you need, the 2-year can be a really great way to save money for when you're ready to go to that 4-year. Now, that being said, something that I make sure to do is work with all of my students on my 2-year program to help them with transferring, to help connect them with scholarships that are available at 4 years. So for example, some of my students have wanted to go to the University of Nevada, Reno, but they're California students, so they would have to pay out of state. But I've worked with their program over there to get them in-state tuition if they do certain registration things and then sign up with the team. So remember that also scholarships sound really awesome, but it's important to look holistically at the cost of college. So, you know, a lot of my students are attracted to University of Pacific, which is a private school up here that does debate, because they offer scholarships. But when we sat down and crunched the numbers, even with the scholarship, it was more expensive to go to UOP than it was to go to a Cal State. And so a lot of those students end up going to San Francisco or even to a school like Berkeley. So it's really important to think big picture about your college finances as well as your college experience. And also remember that there are things beyond scholarships. So there's like work study programs, assistantships. There are other ways to supplement your college while in debate beyond scholarships. And then as far as like benefits or things like that, so at my school, for example, like my students who are in the debate program, I can get them things like some priority registration. I can get them out of their classes to go to tournaments. So like we go to a full week-long tournament for nationals, for the community college nationals, and I write letters to their teachers to make sure that that's okay. And I think most directors at most schools, regardless of the type of school, will do these things for you, but you have to be proactive. You can't assume like, oh, hey, I'm going to go on a debate tournament for a week. I don't need to tell any of my teachers, right? And I don't need to tell my debate coach that I need a note. You need to work with us. We're not mind readers. But if you, I would say like whatever program you're interested in, if you contact that director and say, hey, here's my situation, what's reasonable and what's feasible, our goal is to work with you as much as possible to make sure you get the debate experience. And for me, like when I was at Cal State Fullerton, for example, as a director, sometimes the answer is you should pick a different program, right? And I'm not afraid to tell you that and to be honest with you about that. I don't get like wrapped up in the recruiting game, I guess. Really think about what you're into, but most of us will work with you to find you those resources to make sure that you get to debate. There is a path for you to debate no matter what. It's about finding that path for you. So don't get discouraged if, say, you find out you can't afford the program you want to go to, because there are other ways to either get to that program or get to a different program that will give you some of the same benefits.
Yeah.
And then I want to say thank you so much for having me. And I'll throw it one more time, but I'm going to put my email in the chat here, and you can hit me up at any time for college advice, debate advice, life advice, like whatever you want. I've been in debate since 2006. I was a community college student. I came to debate late and felt like, oh my God, I will never get good enough with enough time to be as competitive as some of these people out here, like Devin. And so I'm happy to just kind of talk with you about that. I'm also happy to help connect you with some of my students who are doing the community college process. And several of them, like I said, came from Bottle. And I've been with Bottle since their very first camp in 2007 or 8 or whatever. So whatever questions you have, please hit me up. I absolutely love you all. Thank you all so much for having me.
Thank you so much for informing us. Appreciate the perspective. Talk to you later. All right. But
all right.
Kevin, you're up.
So for me, very interesting. Okay, so we have scholarships. We do. I make sure that the tournament, the Jack Howe that we host every year, that all of you should be going to. I know that
What's the date on that?
September 19th to the 21st. Of course, it'll be online. So we use that tournament and the fees from that tournament to add to our debate scholarship every year. We try to put like at least 25,000 inside of that scholarship fund from Jack Howe. And clearly, we're definitely not going to get any funds from y'all, because for me, definitely being from a UDL, all of you get to come for free, of course. But the thing is that our scholarships, and it's very interesting because this year it wasn't really competitive, because if you applied, you kind of got it. And that's usually like how a lot of scholarships will happen in the college area, because some people don't know about scholarships, or they just don't feel like applying, and they just don't. So I can say that we have one UDL student from y'all's league that we have on scholarship now, Diego. And so we also just have returning students that just get their scholarship renewed. So we didn't have any other like folks that applied. So it's just like, okay, well, clearly, there you go. There's the money, y'all. And so there's chances to get increases in that scholarship as you move up. Some of it is need-based. And so I try to definitely work with students if there's something that comes up and like some line of finances falls through. And to the best of our ability, we try to work with you, mainly because I know what it's like to be a UDL student and going to like a university and not having all the funds that are necessary. But like, believe me, when I was in college, I hustled. I applied for so many scholarships. I will say I had the privilege that my mom, she worked at one of the leading hospitals in the nation, Johns Hopkins, which is probably one of the like people you constantly hear about saying how many people have died because of coronavirus. It says Johns Hopkins Hospital has, totaled that this many people, right? So she worked there for a long time. And so what happened is that they would add like $2,000 to her paycheck, which it's messed up because it was taxable, right? And then so she would give me the $2,000 to go to my tuition. And so that was another line of income. So you got to make sure you look into your family's, like your parents' jobs, to see if they have any like tuition reimbursement stuff. Now it might be messed up because it means that your parents are going to get taxed for that money, but at least it's still a line of income that you will get. And so that is something that is important. But I would say, like, as soon as you get into college and you get a GPA, this is why it is so important for you to be good students and to have at least a 3.0 at least, so you can be competitive for scholarships. I would I would prefer you to get 3.5, right? That would be good because scholarships can just be thrown at you at that point. But it's all about picking your classes. Like, you should not get a slate of 4 hard classes. That is not the way to go. You should only get 2 hard classes and 1 medium and 2 easy ones if you're doing 5. But the thing is that you have to think about that. But what was the other part of the question? Scholarships and what else?
Just like, what can the team do to support students going to tournaments?
Okay, yeah.
Like
So
the talk to professors, all that good stuff.
Y'all don't pay for anything when it comes to tournaments. We buy all of your meals. We buy all. There's literally, you don't have to come out of your pocket for nothing. Okay, so that's one thing, and we feed you very well. And I make sure that y'all get good food when we go to tournaments. Sometimes I splurge a little bit. I mean, but whatever. We make it up by running tournaments and stuff. And this is why the only time that we'll actually, and I hate to use this rhetoric, that we will use you for slave labor is on Jack Howell. But given that it's online this year, that wouldn't really be a thing because that's not a whole bunch of labor. But when it's back in person, you'll be running up and down Cal State Long Beach's campus along with me because I'm going to be doing it too. But that is the only time during your stay of the years you're at Cal State Long Beach that your soul is not yours. And that is so it can benefit everyone else that comes be after you and anybody who has a scholarship, because that's how, that works. And we definitely talk to your professors. Like, there's even times that I had to get into like literal confrontation with professors because they're just like, oh, we don't have, this is not really excused absence. I was like, excuse me, according to the charter of extracurriculars, forensics is one of the major ones that also came about like when the school first started, that was considered extracurricular that you get excused for. So don't play with me, science professor. And so we sometimes had to go to their department chairs and stuff like that. But we also give you a letter at the beginning of the year that has all the tournaments that we intend to go to. And we say, here's a letter of, tournaments that are possible and that the student might miss during this time, right? And we try to make sure that's the thing. But other than that, like, a lot of the students on the team try to pool resources with each other. Just now, Noah, he's going to be moving in with 2 debaters at an apartment that's literally across the street from me, which I'm going to hate because they're going to always try to come over here. But the thing is that they're splitting the costs on the apartment. And so they're going to already be with each other all the time. So that kind of works out. But I would say that there's literally not much that you will struggle with when you come to our team, at least as much as we have control over, especially if it's financial, because we really try to work with that situation. But definitely fill out FAFSA. Don't like not do that. You need to fill out FAFSA because that gives you money a lot sometimes. Pell Grant, especially if your expected family contribution or EFC is 0. Whew, that is an awesome experience if your EFC is 0. And you will know about this pretty soon when you fill out FAFSA, because EFC being 0 means that your family is not expected to give anything for your college tuition, and that means that they're going to throw money at you just to make it rain. Pell Grant, work study, all of that, and I love that part. And then sometimes you'll get a refund check, which means that any money that's left over, you'll get that in a check, and then you can use that for just about whatever you want. But I would feel like you want to make sure that you use it for things that are productive, maybe like rent if you don't live on campus, or like food, or probably clothes, right? You also, on our team, you don't have to buy any supplies. We have a supply cabinet that I keep heavily stocked with pens, paper, table totes, all that good stuff. That's not an expense you have to worry about. And also we have new laptops coming, so you can borrow the laptop for your long period at Cal State Long Beach, but you got to give it back. But that's what we have. G2 pens, of course, like these. Like I keep them, like I have a whole thing of them. Like I said, I steal from the school. I mean, it's not stealing. I bought them, but it's not my money.
Good pen, Devin.
But yeah, so that's what we do.
Nice. Okay. And then any perspective from y'all that are current students? And then I guess we'll close out after that.
Yeah. So I don't believe any of the debaters on the team receive money from the Harvard Debate Council, but the school itself has a very generous financial aid policy. So if you make under $65,000 per year, you get full ride to Harvard and basically pay $0 to go to Harvard, and everything's covered. Basically cover the $80,000 expense that is a year of Harvard education. And if you make between $65,000 to $150,000, then it you're expected to contribute about 10% proportional to every 1,000 increase or something like that. But we have a generous financial aid policy, so I really appreciated this because basically I was not tied to debate. I didn't have to debate for the team in order to get money to go to Harvard. So I had the option to do other things as well. But that is why I think that preparing ahead of time, getting a good GPA in high school, working hard is good because all those things are necessary to get into Harvard and similar schools that have very generous financial aid policies. But definitely other schools that have scholarships and financial aid and filling out the FAFSA was very important. Also if you're applying to private school, the CSS profile, if you have any questions, please let me know, because the CSS profile is very invasive. They ask you questions from do you own a car, when did you buy this car, what model is your car, how much did you buy it for, and all these invasive questions, how much money is in your parents' bank account, how much does what cost did you buy your house, and basically the FAFSA, but times 10 in terms of the stress and difficulty in order for you to get financial aid. And so I think that noticing these deadlines and making sure you fill out your financial aid application every year, not just before you apply to college, but every year that you reapply to financial aid, and these financial aid applications are very is a very useful thing to remember. Yeah.
Awesome. And then Mesa, did you have any perspective on how's the cost been at a CC and any support there?
Well, going to CC, the cost is less, but there isn't any scholarships that Fulton College offer, but there is help. I'm a part of this Promise program they have at Fulton College that gives me extra financial aid, which isn't necessarily part of the debate team, but the offers are there for the school. And then I also due to my coaches, I was able to get a job there my second semester. So there is always resources there if you need them, and there's always people to reach out and help out.
Awesome. Cool. So I think I'll start wrapping us up here. But if you walk away with nothing, just know that do your research, find a team that fits you, and there's no wrong pathway. Like Stephanie was saying, you got to do the math on some of these things because the name isn't everything, and sometimes. Even if a school has scholarships, it ends up costing you more out of pocket than going to CC. And we know plenty of debaters here that you'll be able to reach out to that are either local here in SoCal or NorCal. If you're interested in going that route, we've got folks across the country that are interested in helping you out and growing your network. And don't be afraid to reach out. And although we only had a few colleges represented on this panel today, we've got connections with folks from all across the state and the country. So if there is a school that you're interested in and it has a debate team and you want to debate, or even if there's a school you want to go to and you don't want to debate, but you know debaters at that school. Devin's got something.
I'm sorry, I forgot to talk about the process of the scholarship. So just really quickly, so we do have a scholarship website thing, and so we do ask you to, I guess, make a little debate resume. It doesn't matter what tournaments you get to, just make the little debate resume. And also this is why you have to know how to just a basic cut a card, because I think one of the requirements is to show a little file, not exhaustive, but like 10 cards or so that you've cut. To just show that you have some of the intro understandings of that. But however it looks, it doesn't really matter, just as long as you have took the effort to do it, because we're gonna ask you to cut cards eventually. And then it's a committee of me, my director of forensics, and the speech director, and clearly no one's gonna be oh no, you're not gonna get anything. But it's more so that you're going to get a scholarship. How much of a scholarship is the thing that we discuss. So that's it.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed this conversation. I thought it was really nice to have people in their perspective, especially directors of of debate programs at different colleges. I know two things that I took away from this conversation is one, the importance of being proactive, right? If you know you want to debate in college, reach out to people. You see people here that are willing and more than willing to ask for help, right? Reach out to your coaches. Maybe they could connect with you with the directors, right? Maybe you're too nervous to make the initial ask, right? Reach out to some of us. We can make those connections, right? We're not afraid to be able to do that for you. And also being in college too, you have to be proactive. Like, you have to ask for help. You have to be able to connect with your professors and everything, because if they don't know you don't need help, then how would they help you, right? And the second part that I really liked the speakers talking about is just the culture shock that comes with going to college, right? Especially if you're going to a big college. Like, I know a lot of people are like, Chicago's so big and everything, but no. I grew up in the south side of Chicago. We didn't really leave our hood, we stood there, so I didn't really realize how different the world was until I started doing debate, right? We started going to meet different students, even within my neighborhood. Like, I grew up with the same kids I went to elementary and high school with, right? So meeting other students helped wet my feet to the possibilities of when I got to college. And like Bao said, it's a culture shock. Like, you start looking at people and you're like, where did all the brown and black people go, right? And that's going to be initially a shocking thing. But what helped me, now that I reflect back on my experiences, was that debate helped wet my feet in those areas, right? And it got me comfortable with speaking up. It got me comfortable with speaking to different people that I would have not necessarily met or interacted with, right? And it really, really helped me. So, thank you so much to the alums of the programs really talking about that it's hard in college, right? But it's doable. And you see there's a network that wants to support you, right? In navigating college, in navigating that institution, and even past that, So those two things I really took out of this conversation. And thank you all so much for your time and for sharing your experiences, no matter how hard and easy it was.